It's probably most likely based on the first. It's based on the Grant Morrison, Frank Quitely, or Justice League Earth 2, JLA Earth 2. Introduced Owlman that looked like that, and Ultraman. I just like the evil versions. I like Johnny Quick. I think Johnny Quick's a really cool evil version of the Flash, and the ending's cool. He runs really fast and ages, and Batman kind of tricks him into doing that, and Batman also tricks James Woods a little bit. They have kind of a fight. Do you guys like Justice League Crisis on 2 Earths?
This was my sixth movie.
Sixth favorite?
Yeah, if spoiler alert, but if we wouldn't have had shorts on here, this would have been on my top 5.
Sure.
Yeah.
This is probably one of the ones I've seen the most.
Yeah.
I enjoy watching it.
And it starts with like a good Lex Luthor, and like his heart's on the wrong side, and it's just a cool story that they're coming from another Earth. And this movie actually ties in a lot of if you watch Justice League the animated series and Justice League Unlimited, there are things that, because this I believe was written as an episode or a movie, if you will, 3-episode part of that animated series. And so they changed up things like, Wally West isn't in it. He, Barry Allen's in this one as the Flash and things like that. But like Wonder Woman, the way Wonder Woman gets her jet, all of a sudden she has an invisible jet or something that explains it. And other things like Flash mentions he has a car, which is seen in like one of the Justice League episodes. Just little things like that. And this one's cool. The artwork's nothing fancy or anything like that. Just like Justice League Doom, it doesn't kind of try and adapt any sort of comic book art like Batman Year One does. Kind of went for that style. You know what I'm saying? Like Catwoman's costume and the way Gordon looks and the blacks and stuff. So yeah, my number 4 would be Justice League Crisis on 2 Earths.
I agree with this that assessment too. I think the art wasn't the best.
But it's a cool story.
But it's a cool story.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I want to see, is something I know I'm not going to see in a movie or...
Right.
I guess you could read it or something like that in a comic book, but it's cool to put on a movie and watch, them fight with all the Black Adams in the sky and the Superwoman being all evil, and she's having an affair with Owlman, and it's cool, man. It's cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Dan, you want to go with your number 4?
Back to me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's change it up. Let's bounce it. We switch around a lot because we digress. That's what we do on this podcast.
We digress.
We digress on it.
But I love Warner Brothers animation, man, and the shorts, they're great.
I'm glad that they're actually seeing that everybody likes them.
So we mentioned my number 4 is actually Flashpoint.
Flashpoint Paradox. Okay, cool.
I really enjoyed that movie. Obviously, I know it changed everything as far as how the movies went artistically going forward.
And continuity-wise. Yeah. Just like the Flashpoint, just like it did in the comics. So I do dig that, you know what I mean?
And I did, and I hope nobody has this on their list. And if you do, you probably... No, not this movie.
No, this...
But you're going to... I think I saw your list, maybe.
It's okay. Just go ahead.
But obviously, like having the ending of this movie bleed over into like Suicide Squad: Hell to Pay, which was also awesome and just a cool. I love the vibe of that, the grindhouse style. Mm-hmm. But I digress. But yeah, with this movie, I mean, there was just so much going on. I thought it was great.
It's a really good adaptation of that comic book.
Absolutely.
I mean, they leave out a lot of little neat details, but in my opinion, it's just like the Flashpoint comic. If you wanted to read it, you have to buy all those supplementary issues anyway to get some of that stuff.
Absolutely.
Both of you guys are really into the Flash anyway, right?
Not really.
No,
I like the Flash, but I'm not like Gaga over him or anything.
Yeah. I mean, he's not
my favorite DC character by any means.
Yeah,
I think he'd be in my top 10 favorite DC characters.
Easy.
You know what I mean, or maybe top 6.
I actually
7.
like his character more now that he went through like all that continuity of him being gone.
Well, Barry Allen was killed in '85 and didn't come back until.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And if you read
I mean?
the '80s like Flash and like the old '70s stuff,
sure,
it's
yeah. I mean, some of them old
Marvel actually had the Flash in a comic.
Yeah,
really?
Where he raced a character, and they never said who he was, but He went by the name Buried Alien.
Yeah, because they didn't really know. They didn't understand his name.
But he was gone. But he was in. He has a foot race with someone. Actually,
it was a weird little, like 4-panel type of a deal or something strange.
But Wally West is cool, and Mark Wade wrote Wally West for a long time.
No, absolutely. That's not taking anything away from him.
No.
I'm just saying that I think because that happened, and they kind of reinvented who
Barry Allen is.
Because basically all you had was Wally West saying how awesome Barry Allen was all the time in the comics where he was the Flash. So when he comes back, it's almost like this progenitor coming back, and the stuff that people read in the 70s and 80s. And I didn't read any of that till way after, of course,
And so this one, it makes him younger and fallible, because he tries to save his mom. And this is what set off the whole New 52 is the Flashpoint.
Yep.
But they're doing this in the animated version. And I liked this because I would buy these movies I haven't caught up since, but I would buy these when they came out on DVD.
Absolutely.
And when Flashpoint came out, it was the first one that I switched over to Blu-ray.
Okay.
So I did the Blu-ray switch, and it also was like the New 52, and it's resetting the universe, and things like that. I really like the story in this movie, the alternate versions of characters and things like that, alternate histories. So
yeah,
I don't know about the letter.
The letter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that part I was like, what? Why would he do that?
Well, and there's more to that. I mean, The Button is another comic book story you might want to read with the Flash and Batman.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I was looking at that the other day. My number 4.
Yeah, Brock, let's get to your number 4.
My number 4 is the newer Death of Superman. The one that came out last year.
Yeah.
I really like that one. I like that one better than the original one that they did because it was more close to the source.
Sure.
Right. I liked it better than I liked the second part.
So, are you counting just Death of Superman or Death of and Reign of Superman?
Death of.
Okay, so just Death of Superman.
Death of, yeah.
With Rainn Wilson as Luthor?
Yeah.
Okay.
At first, I was like, when I first saw it coming out, I was like, oh man, this should be really good. I like the art style in this one. I just like the overall everything on it. Not much else I really want to say about it, except for it was really good.
I really enjoyed, like I said, the first of those two movies. The second one didn't really do it for me. I mean, it was true to the source for the most part. I was never a big fan of that story.
No, I know, but I want to ask you a little bit about I didn't watch Reign of Superman, to be honest.
Not bad.
But that one I want to see.
Yeah.
It looks cool because it's got the Eradicator and it's got Cyborg Superman, right?
Yeah.
So those characters kind of interest me. I think the after reading the Superman Live script, what Kevin Smith was going to do, and knowing about all that stuff, I kind of learned about that a little bit more. Well, no, I guess I knew about the when Superman dies storyline. I knew there was other ones that came back, but I didn't know one of them was called the Eradicator.
Yeah.
So is it not as good as the first part? You're saying?
I'm saying if that were a complete movie, it'd be fine.
It'd be cool. Yeah.
But you're okay with just the first part?
But the first part was really the crux. That was what drove me when I read that story.
Yeah.
That was the cool part.
Yeah. Well,
it was the part after that was just, okay. Yep, they're going to battle. Superman's going to eventually come back because he's fucking Superman.
Yeah, he's Superman.
And that's that. What it did do for DC is introduce some new characters like Steel, brought Superboy back as a clone.
Right.
Yeah.
So people like that, you know what I mean?
No, I enjoyed both of them. This one just kind of, this is another one of those that I grew up and I really like the Death of Superman
just cool.
comic books whenever it happened.
Yeah.
Just a cool image of seeing Superman
die. And
I know it's terrible to say, but like an indestructible character, you know?
Yeah, well, whenever they did it back, whenever they actually really killed Superman at that point, I mean, it was just so... I remember trading a whole bunch of comic books just for that graphic novel after it came out.
Oh, cool.
And I've read that graphic novel from cover to cover so many times, just because I like the imagery, I like the story, I like the movies, even though they kind of introduced it in Batman versus Superman.
Well, they kind of adapted it. Yeah, it was sort of real
didn't
quick.
really work, and that's why I like this one better because it was more close to the source.
I agree with that. I agree.
That's why I really liked it.
What about let's go with your number 3.
Number 3 for me Now, this one, I know that a lot of people are going to put this one up at their top. If you're listening to this and you really kind of want to, I don't know, have a favorite one out of these, Batman Under the Red Hood.
That's actually my number 3 as well.
Yeah, see,
it's number 3. That's my number 2.
Batman Under the Red Hood is such a fucking awesome animated movie.
I watched it recently. It's just, man, it's just very well
every
done.
time.
Very well done.
Yeah, every time you watch it, it's just like, holy shit, this is a good movie. I love the art style in it. I think it's great. I like the God, everything that was in it was really fucking cool. I mean, having Black Mask in it.
Yes, I think Black Mask is an awesome villain. They should use more.
I mean,
and then of course you have Nightwing. You have it's like the whole whole deal.
The first scene, because that was another graphic novel that
Absolutely.
I grew up with, having Death in the Family.
Yeah,
and then John DiMaggio is actually doing fucking the Joker's
That's
voice,
right.
and he did a great fucking job.
Absolutely, he did.
That very first part, I was like, man, that's Bender.
Yeah,
And that was one of the ones that really made me start paying attention to all the DC animated movies. And I'd already seen all the other ones, but this one was just like, damn, this is really good.
Yeah, this is the one when somebody says, "Well, what should I watch?"
Watch
this is the one
first.
and that doesn't. Again, it's number 3 on my list, but this is the one I feel like more people, if they watch this one, they're going to be hooked.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Then you'll start paying attention to all the other ones that come out. Yeah,
absolutely.
So that's our number 3.
Yeah, that's
there's
our number 3.
Yeah, there's so many good parts in that movie too. That
Dude, this
you
is
can
my
enjoy
number
it.
2. I'm gonna say it feels so much like reading a comic book. Like, it has so many different parts. You get Amazo in there for a little bit.
Exactly.
You get Nightwing. I know some of the exposition's like a little clunky. He's like, "Who's that?" That's the boy. That's the first Robin.
Yeah.
He's Nightwing now. And I said it like just before that guy said it. I said it to my kid, like as he's sitting there watching this. It's got some graphic parts, which I even used to say that to, because I would rent this out at Holly or at Blockbuster. I worked there, and I'd be like, I know if you've seen all the other ones, that's fine and everything, but this one does have like just 2 scenes that are a little bit over the top for being violent. And that Joker scene.
Oh,
yeah, the crowbar.
No, I was thinking the Joker scene in the interrogation room where he slits everyone's fucking throats, and then the other scene where
Joker's really hardcore in this.
Yeah, he is really hardcore in this, and I think they took a lot from Heath Ledger's Joker. Not that it's a bad thing, but he was not redesigned, but he did look that way in the Joker graphic novel by Brian Azzarello or whatever his name is.
Right.
And then that was such a hit with people. His hair kind of looks the same. And just, I don't know, I could see them
Where
changing.
he's about to set fire to everybody, too.
Yeah, that too. But I think that happens in the book.
Yeah.
And, it's just, that's my number 2. But that's just such a great one.
But what's your number 3?
So my number 3, and I watched this one recently, is All-Star Superman. Now, again, I'm a big Grant Morrison mark. I like Frank Quitely's art. I really, really like reading the Superman story, All-Star Superman, and I like watching this because even though it leaves some things out, it kind of makes you want to go read All-Star Superman, but it's also a beautiful Superman story, and I like how they try and emulate some of Frank Quitely's art, but it still just looks like animated eventually, but it does kind of go for his style.
Absolutely.
It has bizarre, just weird things happening in it because Grant Morrison's writing it. And it's like the last Superman story. It's considered one of the best Superman stories out there.
I own this one for sure.
Yeah.
I love this one a lot.
It's really
definitely
good.
Top 10 for me, but it didn't make my list.
It's number 3 for me, and the action's cool. If you're looking for another Superman story, this one is one of the best ones that I think you can get aside from the movies. One of the best animated ones you can get.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that. It's really good.
Luthor's cool in it. It has one of my favorite Superman villains in it, Parasite.
Right.
Which I think they should do in a movie. They should also,
that scene too. I mean, you could do that in a movie.
Yeah, that whole scene. Yeah, you could adapt that into a movie. There, for the listeners out there, if you haven't seen it, there's a scene where Clark Kent is interviewing Lex Luthor after he's been locked up, and Parasite is in the jail with him. And because Superman is so full of radiation from recently going to the sun, Parasite starts to grow and feed off the energy, and he can't really reveal that he's Superman. So it's kind of cool, and it presents a neat opportunity for a cinematic experience.
Absolutely.
For Superman to show his powers where no one can see him. No one can see him do it. So, like, for instance, Lex Luthor is about to get shot by a guy, and he just uses his super breath to blow him over real quick, like into a wall. and Luther's like, what are you doing, Kent? Like, come on. And it's what's his name, Anthony LaPalago
Yeah.
from